So my name is Ken, and it's great to be on Kirsty TV. My story began at the age of 26. I met HIV at the age of 26, and there was a beautiful boy involved in my story, and we dated for what felt maybe like 3 months. Um, Intense sort of relationship, very much in love, and we had a conversation about HIV prior to us even getting engaged in a relationship. And so I got tested, I was negative, and we engaged. Um, 3 months after that, the relationship sort of ended. I have no idea where it went. Looking forward to this day. And 3 months after that, did I test positive for HIV? The worst of it for me was really the disappointment in myself. So, what happened? I was actually on the verge. I found out because I was on the verge of beginning a new relationship. I was rekindling something with an old flame. And because I was working at this organization, I had some of the HIV test along with me one night after a testing event. And I went home, took the test with me, and I thought to myself, why not just test myself since I have the test with me? I could test myself and just to clear my mind. I didn't even think at the time that I had anything to worry about. So I had no worries. I took the test and I convinced myself that the results meant negative because that's what I thought the results should have been anyway. I wasn't even like trained on how to operate the test yet, but I just knew I was negative, so I didn't have any worries. The very next day at work, I knew there wasn't something right in my spirit about the previous evening, about the test and about the results. So I went online, I Googled a few things, and I found a website that had different possible results of the rapid HIV test. And the result I received twice the night before was negative. I mean, was reactive, what they call reactive, on the website. And I sat at my desk and I cried. The hardest part about that first week was believing that it was real, believing that I actually received an HIV diagnosis. And what I probably did in my pillow every night since I received my diagnosis was pray it away. Like, please, God, I did so much bargaining with God. If you take this away, God, I will be your most faithful servant. But it was real, and the hardest part was believing that it was real. What happened for me when I began the medication was that pill every night became my reminder that I was in fact infected with HIV, which is a hard pill to swallow in and of itself. Um, but it was also knowing that this pill was going to save my life. This pill was going to give me the hope that one day I'm gonna get to see my nieces and nephews grow up. One day I might even have children of my own. One day I'm going to have the relationship I want. One day, one day, one day. So with every pill that I took, every night that I took it, there was a new hope that blossomed because of it. So a lot of people who are diagnosed with HIV don't think relationships can happen because of the diagnosis. And I didn't want to be burdened by that idea because I knew that I deserved love and I want love. And so as long as I kept that energy high and up, I knew that it was going to come back to me tenfold, sort of. So I think there's a certain confidence that I wear with my diagnosis, and I think no matter who you are, confidence is attractive. So me being open and honest about my status attracted people, and that makes people comfortable enough to talk to you about what you have and what that means for a relationship, and then you just have those conversations. It's about being versed to have those conversations, to make the other person feel comfortable so you can also feel comfortable for yourself. And I remember hearing horror stories from other friends who were HIV positive who would tell a partner, a sexual partner, about their diagnosis, and that partner then tell their immediate friends and their social networks, and it being a horror story that, all this information is now leaking about who has HIV, what does that mean, and that sort of thing. And so I thought to myself, I didn't want anyone to give up my story. So from there, I sort of began to wean myself to acceptance. I think acceptance is a place where someone who, with any sort of diagnosis, begins to start taking care of themselves and beginning to own their story. So I remember the first time I said I was HIV positive out loud to somebody that didn't even need to know that information, and how it felt so good to give that up and not really be giving anything up. And when I felt that sort of freedom, I knew then that I was going to take to my platform to share my story, to hopefully free somebody else of that same sort of guilt and shame. And I would say the biggest lesson for me on this journey is, is that if we keep our secrets hidden, even in denial from ourselves, we keep them as a burden. And I think it's really about making the decision somewhere in your process that you don't want to be burdened by your own sort of secrets. So one of the most beautiful things that has come out of this journey with having HIV for me has been the part of sharing my story. It has been the community that has been built from sharing my story. It has been all the people around the world that I have met, Kirsty and Kirsty TV. It has been the OWN network. It has been my relationship with the insiders. It has been me finding a voice in myself that I didn't know that I really had. And I think that voice has been now loud enough and heard enough that I'm sharing so many different platforms with so many different other people, and the community that is around what is going on in this social media world, in the world period, is crazy.
I knew what I felt for him was different than I had ever felt for any girlfriend that I had ever had. It was very powerful and very strong, but then came the shame part, is, oh, I have to hide this, oh, I can't let anyone